Hello and happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out today's show. We super appreciate it, folks. Listen, everybody is still on that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle high because why wouldn't you be? The game is absolutely phenomenal. We do have some gameplay footage. Now, I don't remember if this is the one that flickers. If it does flicker, we'll get it on out of here. It's very early in the game, so there's no spoilers here. In fact, you know what? I think it is the one that flickers. It's very dark. So let me just add this to the... again, sorry for the boring Call of Duty stuff, but it's one of my favorite games. In fact, the most game I played in 2024, I'm upwards of 230 hours, which is... that's just bonkers for me. That's usually like Halo time, and I haven't been back to Halo in months because, well, Call of Duty has basically sucked my soul. Pause. But listen, we got a great show for you. Look, at the end of the day, Xbox as a platform has had a banger of a year. We're going to get into all of the games we think that should be winning awards, and at this point, it's just a testament to the patience of the community, right? We've been waiting for years for them to be dropping bangers like this. And this year, we got quite a few. Last year, we got quite a few, even though nobody wants to give us credit for that. And next year, as Xbox fans, as Xbox consumers, as Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, we are going to win big. Just the amount of games that are coming out next year and the potential of something like inXile's game is just... I mean, the deck continues to stack. Again, it's opening up with Avowed, and that I'm very excited for that. If you are an RPG fan, you have nothing but excitement for that game. You also have Fable's supposed to be coming out at the end of the year. You got a new Call of Duty that's supposed to be coming out, which again it's supposed to be a sequel to Black Ops 2. I know I'm Doom Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages is coming out, multiplat, sure, but still day and date in Game Pass, which is freaking crazy. But hey, Fuzzy, hopefully you had a good weekend. Welcome back. You got a chance to sink your teeth into Indiana Jones. We got some thoughts, some theories. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Oh, I'm feeling great. Yeah, it was a wonderful weekend. Just a lot of gaming time. And man, Indiana Jones is so much more than I expected. Like I was expecting something kind of on rails, like an Uncharted to some extent, but in first person. No, it's a lot bigger world, a lot more stuff to find, just random pathways in the forest or around this corner, down this street. Yeah, it's worth going there. You might find a store, you might find some artifacts, might find a whole mess of stuff that you could use. But yeah, I'm loving the game, man. Just so glad to be here. 2024 is definitely ending on a bang, and I'm looking forward to 2025, but I got some games I got to finish first, like Stalker 2, Indiana Jones. That's pretty much taken up my time, and I still managed to squeeze some Forza Horizon 5 in there. So long or a swan song to Forza Horizon 4. Pick it up if you haven't already. It's getting delisted. Excellent game with excellent seasons, and a little bit of the UK flavor as far as their hometown for playground games, and it's definitely a worthwhile pickup, but man, just so many games, not enough hours in a day.
Well, I mean, now what do you call it? Imam Burns is saying I sound wonky. In what way? He said it multiple times, so I don't know. Does my mic sound okay, Fuzzy Belvedere?
It sounds fine. It was like a brief moment of like not botting, but almost like a bit of botting for a sec, but it sounded fine this last time.
Well, just chat while I'm talking. Just throw me the thumbs up if the mic sounds good. Is it too low? Is it too high? Am I normal?
They're saying it's a little bit
of crackling. You guys are clipping. That's weird. I don't understand why that would be. Sounds like it's popping in and out like the. You know what? It's clipping. All right. I'm gonna please talk to the community. I'm gonna pop out and then pop back in. All right.
But if you guys haven't started your playthrough yet on Indiana Jones, definitely when you find the time, hop in. It's well worth it. It's the only game right now pulling me away from Stalker 2, which I was having an awesome time with that. not your typical looter shooter, a lot more difficult than your typical, single player first person shooter kind of thing. But man, that is an awesome game as well. But this is this has been a pretty busy last few weeks. I still haven't gotten to dive into Flight Sim like I want to. Flight Sim, another phenomenal game. I played the original launch one from, what was that, 2020 or 2021. Played it on PC first, and then when it came to console, just picked up where I left off on that. I have hundreds of hours in it, but I definitely want to dive into Flight Sim 2024. But I don't know. Let's see. I'm not sounding good either. Uh-oh, that can't be good. Clipping is still there for me as well. Crackling. And let me see if I can adjust something. Hold on. All right, let me make sure all of these things are closed in the background. Let's close that and all right. Chat, let me know if it is still persisting. Mic check, mic check. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. Indiana Jones is looking amazing, and I didn't even have the ray tracing. I didn't know that. I knew that it was like ray trace lighting, but I guess or like path tracing or something like that. But I guess that was fixed for NVIDIA cards, which I have for my PC.
Let's see if we can get this to work.
It's saying for me it's still there. I'm wondering if it might be me.
Uh-oh.
You say something. And...
Hey, Fuzzy, you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Okay, so I don't see the chat in front of me. Folks, just bear with me with the I very rarely have technical issues, but just give me the thumbs up of if I sound better.
Yeah, it says definitely better now. Yeah, it's
okay,
better.
way better. Okay, yeah. So I just needed to reset my computer. I've been ready to rock and roll since this morning, but of course, that sucks. But hey, listen, folks, thank you so much. Fuzzy, please continue your point of contention while I bring up the show notes, and we will continue the conversation because, like I said, for me as an Xbox gamer, and I'm sure a lot of people that are here, you've been waiting for Xbox to deliver a banger, and they have. I still think Hellblade and many of the games that released this year were bangers. For many reasons, but this game I have very rarely seen in recent years, folks, and please push back if you think I'm being facetious, a celebration of Xbox gaming. Like most
Oh, it might be me. Let's see. Uh-oh.
Continue, Fuzzy.
I think it might be me because for me, you froze. Oh, no, it says boom, you froze. Okay.
Oh, boy. Bye, Boom. They say I'm frozen. That's weird. It's not happening here.
Now, well, you did freeze for me for a moment. Now you're back. All right.
Okay.
It says Boom's back. Jeff Keighley's hacking.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna just play it by ear. Worst case scenario, I'll reset my router. I just reset the PC. So worst case scenario, okay, so it's better now. All right, so folks, just keep me on my toes. If the show sucks, please let me know that it's freezing up, and I will then leave Fuzzy here to continue on while I just reset everything. Okay, so everyone's saying I'm back. All right, that's fine. Apologies, but listen, Fuzzy, let's hear about your experience so far with Indiana Jones.
Well, it started off where you're kind of reliving the beginning of one of their was it Raiders of the Lost Ark as far as that first part, but like just the level of detail, just the fact that you don't have like a set path you have to stay within. Like you can definitely travel off to the side. Oh, and you see that little pond over there? You can walk all around and through the pond if you want. Seeing if anything is there. You can stray off from where the other characters are kind of trying to lead you down and stuff like that. You can hop on things and all of that stuff. So even from the beginning, you get your sense of freedom as far as what you can do, where you can go, and stuff like that. The interaction stuff doesn't really pick up until you go to like your second area, but you get a small sense of this is a bigger mapped area than what you typically deal with. And I loved like when you and King were doing your review and asked me anything about the game, where you were making mention about taking notes and stuff like that.
Yes.
And there's different ways, like you can either take notes, or you like if it's you can turn down the difficulty on the puzzles, or you can keep it the same. And then when you get to a later part in the game where you get the camera, just double take pictures, because it's almost like it doesn't do like some other games. Like I know some people complain about the second God of War, with Atreus, constantly giving you hints and stuff like that. It won't do the hints until you retake the picture, and then it's like you'll either hear Indy or one of your companions tell you, "Oh, let me look at the picture," or maybe if I turn the picture this way or something like that, and then it'll actually give you a hint. They'll kind of get you over the hump. But if you don't want hints, just turn up the difficulty a little bit just in that part, and it will keep it so you'll have to rack your brain or check your notes or keep on thumbing through like your journal and stuff like that. But I like that there is not as much hand holding if you don't want that, or if you want it to be a little bit easier interaction with like the enemies, or just the stealth and stuff like that. You can dial it up or down on how you see fit. But playing it on like medium or whatever the normal setting, it's like one step up from easy. I'm having a blast. I'm loving the melee combat. Like that was the biggest thing that I noticed from get-go in the game. And I know some people are like, "Oh, it gets repetitive." Get creative. You can. I was about the way it sounds. It's going to probably sound bad, but you could crack the whip out if you want, and start getting creative with stuff. Like whether you want to snatch weapons out of other enemies' hands, or trip them or make them fall or something along those lines, or you don't have to throw the bottles like in most what do you call them games, like stealth games. You don't have to throw the bottle down that way to lead them that way. You can just throw it at their head if you want, and either knock them out or get their attention if you want to start a fist fight. But like I love the freedom of the game as far as like the choices you can make and the different things you can do. The puzzle game, or the puzzles and stuff like that, as far as solving them, it definitely plays on how you set the level, as far as if you want it a little bit tougher or a little bit easier. Right now they seem manageable. It's like you may have to take a second look at something, or you may have to try like a different combination or something like that. But I love how the puzzles are. They're not overbearing, they're not annoying or frustrating. But then again, I'm pretty sure they'll get even tougher as I venture on and stuff. But as far as like the interactions with the enemies, if you want to do complete stealth, yeah, you can do that. You can sneak around or do like silent takedowns, kind of, except for on, I guess, some of the tougher enemies. It doesn't work as well unless you have like a bigger pot to hit them upside the head with or something. But just overall, this game is so much more than what I was expecting. Like I was kind of expecting like your Tomb Raider, Uncharted, like more on rails kind of thing, narrow pathways that you can use, and not really having as many options on things you can pick up. Like if you see a candlestick, yeah, you could probably pick that up and throw it at them, or a bottle, or a book, or a shovel, or a broomstick. Like everything that looks like you can pick up or is movable is pretty much movable. And that's something different from other games where it's like, oh, you can only pick up the bottles for stealth to, distract the enemy. No, I can pick up the bottles and smash them up the head with it, and stuff like that. So it's so much more than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting as big of a map area to work within. Wasn't expecting as many different like side missions or branches of things. Like it's almost like my intention to purposely not go where I'm supposed to go, and you still kind of wind up tying into something that might benefit you more. Like you might find a store where the guy's selling a book to help you level up your stealth ability, or level up your fisticuffs ability, or something like that. So it's, yeah. And this is like 7 hours in. So yeah, there's a lot to it. And I just only because I know from the art book, and shout out to you, Boom. Thank you so much for the code on that and everything. There's so many maps to this thing. There's so much detail in this game, so many artifacts that you can find and things like that. Like this game, I don't know how they did it. Like, it feels like they only worked on this 2 or 3 years. I'm pretty sure they were working on this before the acquisition, but it just feels like they churned out a classic, a sizable classic in a short period of time. And it has to be because this was kept under wraps for the longest time, even after the acquisition, I guess. But man, this is an awesome game. I encourage everybody to stop what you're doing, give it a try if you haven't already. Day one patch, but I haven't encountered any issues prior to the day one patch. So
yeah,
I think the only thing I was missing was ray tracing on certain things, but the graphical detail, whether it's on your Series X or even on PC, is phenomenal. Performance was great. Like, we had a discussion on Pixelated Echoes. I guess some people were complaining about, like, why doesn't Xbox use id Tech more as opposed to switching over to Unreal, because Unreal doesn't seem to be as easily optimized as this. But I don't know. I love the fact that they use this engine. It gives me a lot of hope for what we could see with a Wolfenstein 3, but it is an awesome detail, very like movie realistic, or like photorealistic, I guess you could say. But you could do the film grain, you could do the widescreen with the cinematic, like the bars top and bottom. Like, on a computer screen, it may not be as noticeable. I mean, mine's like I think it's either a 27 or 29 inch, but like on the big screen, playing it on the Xbox and doing it that way, it feels like you're actually participating in the movie. And I love the fact that it's first person. Like, originally, I thought third person would have been the better way to go, but the fact that you feel immersed when you look around for stuff, whether you're looking around for clues or looking around to pick up something to use as a weapon, I think that's where it's best used, as far as being in that first person, or looking to see if there's like an area where you can, attach the whip so you can, like, swing across or climb or scale or something like that. So I think this will be listed as like the most memorable, at least for now, until probably some of these other ones drop next year, the most memorable Xbox launch title, or first party title, outside of Call of Duty, of course. But I think as far as like fun factor for a single player aspect, I think this outdoes Call of Duty on the single player aspect.
Sure.
Multiplayer, yeah, different story, obviously, but I think they have a solid hit with this, and this is going to be listed as a classic for Bethesda, Machine Games, and Xbox as a whole.
Yeah, we got some information. So of course, good shout out to Sin in the chat, good friend of the channel. He's asking you specifically, actually both of us, but I ask you first. Are you guys playing in widescreen or cinematic mode? I'm playing in widescreen.
Widescreen as well.
Yeah, I mean, the cinematic mode is it's great if you are a cinephile and that's your thing. That's not how I want to play the game. I know some people will play like that. I personally like a 65-inch screen. I want the whole screen taken up, especially because I look for everything. Like, very similar to what Fuzzy was saying. One of the things I don't know exactly how many hours. I haven't checked. I'm over 30. And I'm only in the second biome, which of course is Giza. I don't like to leave until I'm practically done with everything. Just found out yesterday, talking to C Money, because we talk outside of podcasting, and I was telling him, like, he beat the game. He ran through it. He beat it. He absolutely loved it. We're going to talk more on Thursday, but specifically, and I didn't know this, when you beat the game, it allows you to continue going back to the old areas that you missed, and you can go and say, oh, look, there's an area where I missed a bunch of relics, and you can go back and, of course, mop up your achievements, which I think is freaking amazing. If I would have known that, I might not have stayed as long as I've been staying, because I don't think I'm anywhere close to beating it. Like, I think after this is the jungle. After the jungle is the frozen, the one with the ship that's frozen. And I don't know what's after that. So I have a lot of play to get to. And mind you, folks, I've been out of Call of Duty for over a week, 7 days. Like, the last time I played a Call of Duty game, I think was last Sunday. It might be longer. It's crazy. And I'm tapping the vein to get back into it, because look, I'm an old man. My skills, they're good, but they have to continue to be challenged. So if I sit on my hands for a bit and I go into Call of Duty, I know I'm going to die. So I got to get back to it. again, real world problems, folks, versus I don't have enough time for video games. What am I going to say? But you know what? That's not the only piece of information I kind of want to talk about, Fuzzy, with Indiana Jones, because this came out yesterday from Bethesda. Update 1 for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is now available. This update brings full ray tracing, in parentheses, path tracing improvements and fixes to the game. And of course, I will add this to the show notes if you want to see if what the exact patch notes are. But it doesn't end there. As a matter of fact, there are quite a few other things. Now, this is two very interesting points, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I know that Steam is its own monster. I know a lot of people like to use it for, concurrent players and sales, things of that nature. But there is something to be said, Fuzzy, about this particular stat. Now, this comes on the heels of Marvel Rivals, which crossed 10 million players. It is free to play. It has exploded on the scene. It's probably gonna put a lot of these free to play games and in their places, so to speak. I think that this is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. I have it downloaded. I just don't have the time. I want to play it. It looks phenomenal. But Indiana Jones, according to Hazardor Gaming, great friend of the community. Obviously, consistently puts out incredible pieces of information. This is pretty. I want to get your thoughts on this, chat. I want to get your thoughts on this, Fuzzy. According to Hazardor Gaming, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is now in the top 10 seller of Steam, coming in at number 6 globally, and only premium edition owners have early access, currently at 93% very positive reviews on Steam. I mean, that's a pretty big deal considering it's quote unquote free in Xbox Game Pass. And obviously, we did learn that there were a significant amount of people that are playing through the $30 upgrade, which again, I don't know why you wouldn't. If you are enjoying the game, the DLC is going to be happening sometime next year. You're going to want the DLC. You're going to want all of the extra little things that come with it, the different outfits, whatever. Again, I don't know if it makes sense to do it now, considering the 9th is today. So, but the DLC is definitely going to be there, and I think the DLC by itself is going to potentially be $35. So I don't know. Maybe you can go to cdkeys.com and get the upgrade for like under $27 now, and maybe even cheaper. What are your thoughts on the fact that this it's number 6 on Steam for most paid?
It's awesome to see. Like, I think the biggest thing that we have to understand when it comes to an Xbox game, I don't think in a lot of cases, except for games like maybe Flight Sim, that it's played on PC in the same numbers or near the same numbers as it is on console. And to see it do this well at launch on Steam is good to see, because one, Microsoft is getting money for that, as well as hopefully that goes into the DLC and future iterations. Like I would love to see a sequel, at least be prototype. Get Wolfenstein 3 done first, but I would love to see them continue this on, because you could tell the team put a lot of work and effort and love into this.
Indeed.
But it's great to see when these games do well, even though they're in Game Pass, because it flies in the face of, oh, well, Game Pass kills sales, or it kills, the potential for the game. Maybe it cancels out some of the sales, but I think in the grand scheme of things, you get a lot more people that probably wouldn't have touched the game, that $20 a month subscription, or however they come across, Game Pass, because in some cases you could go to CD Keys and get discounts even on that. I think a lot of people would have normally been on the fence and be like, I'll just wait for a sale, or they may have just passed up on it altogether. And to at least get them in the door, or maybe to get them to do the $35 upgrade, which guarantees you the DLC, guarantees you the early access, as well as guarantees the additional outfit and stuff, and the art book. Yeah, I say it's totally worth it at that point. And I know a lot of people are like, why should we pay for early access? But at least they give you other things more than just the early access. And I think that's the key thing, because, a year from now, when the DLC, let's say, when that comes available, people are going to be like, well, why isn't that included in Game Pass? Kind of like some people tried to do with Shattered Space. And it's like, it's the DLC, it's the expansion. It's no different than the DLC that's been for Forza Horizon. Like those expansions, if you did the early access or the upgrade at the beginning, you got those guaranteed. But come out, if you didn't do that, you were patient, you didn't want to do the early access, well, you still have to pay either the upgrade fee to get the DLC or just pay for the DLC individually. Like with Forza, it's a little bit different because they're like $10 or maybe $19.99 for one and $10 for the other one. So it's kind of split up. But with this, I would say secure that for the DLC now. So that way you don't even have to think about it. When they announce it and it's ready for download, you don't have to worry about, oh, wait, did I pay for it last time? No, you already, bought your ticket for it basically. But yeah, it's great to see.
Oh no,
This doing well on Steam.
There you go.
People played or something like that. But I think they're waiting for the official launch. I think that's when they'll talk about, hey, we had 5 million players, prior to launch, and we're up to 10 million now, or something along those lines. But there's a lot more indie fans than I think a lot of people expected.
A couple of points of contention here that come to mind. The advertising has been on another level. I mean, let's give credit where credit is due. Let's call a spade, whatever pun you want to add to the conversation. It has been here, there, and everywhere. It's been in Times Square. I had a couple of people reach out to me from the other side of the pond saying that it's on the taxis, it's on the buses. They have really put the pedal to the metal. Now, granted, this is not Xbox. This is Bethesda. And we saw the same kind of tenacity from Activision with Call of Duty, right? I think what the running narrative here is, seeing how well Call of Duty was received, it's a good game. In fact, it's a freaking great game. But just looking on how the reception was due to the marketing, you take a page out of that book, you look at what Bethesda's doing, not only with big boy advertising, but I'm talking about like reaching out to us, the content creators. They flew us out. They sent me over the collector's edition. I was able to do an unboxing, which I had a blast doing. Mind you, that was only 2 takes. The first take the sound didn't come out good. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to retake it. And I did it in one shot, which is very rare. I usually have to cut that thing to pieces. That was 5 minutes and 42 seconds of just get it done. And it came out pretty good. If you missed out on it, go check it out. And of course, podcasters like us talking about the game. King and I did the Ask Us Anything the day of release when the embargo lifted. So if you missed out on that, a bunch of questions came in from the community. We answered it. We talked about our experience with it. That was also very well received by the community. Look, Xbox needs to just take a look at what Activision is doing and what Bethesda did and say, okay, when Avowed comes out and when whatever else is going to come out next year that is Xbox Game Studios, they need to rip a page out of these books and use it verbatim, because obviously we still want to see some better advertising from Game Pass, because again, we're all here. We have almost 450 people here. We all know what Game Pass is. There are a lot of normies that don't, and here is my slight pushback. You and I had this conversation, I think it was last week or the week before, about how come there wasn't a Series S ready to drop with the box art for the normies. Because what was going to happen was the normies or the casuals were going to hear about Call of Duty being the best it's been in the last decade from a buddy at work. And the buddy at work is going to say, yeah, I'm playing Call of Duty for free. And look, I understand it's not for free. I'm not a boob, ladies and gentlemen, but the average conversation, we don't think about it. I'm not being facetious here. We think about, okay, we're paying for, Paramount and Peacock and Netflix and everything else. But when we go to watch a film, it's just, hey, the film is available. Oh, great. I didn't have to go to the theater to see it. It's in there. We don't think about it. That's the same thing with Game Pass. And I think, again, I don't know. Are they going to do it? I'd like to believe so. But I think that, Black Friday is come and gone. But Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa are still around the corner. There is an opportunity here to slap Call of Duty, Indiana Jones, and a bunch of your other first-party stuff like Hellblade, throw those 3 characters on a box, put it out for $200 right before the holiday, And again, you're going to sell some consoles, but it's not the consoles that are really that big of a deal with the sale, because we all know that listen, console sales are important, but ultimately for what Xbox is doing for now and into the future, it's only a part of the big scope, the big scale of it. Sony is still counting the consoles. Nintendo still counting the consoles. They're old school. They're old world. Will they ever get to the place where Xbox is? Yeah, probably at some point. I don't know when, but Xbox is looking way into the future. And even though console sales, I still think are important, they're just a part of it. But what you can do with a Series S is be the gateway, the key to get in. You slap these things on there. You sell the 512 for $200 at your Costco, at your Best Buy, at your Walmart, your Target, right before Christmas, and you get people in the door. And of course, if they push the envelope, which we think they are based on some of the stuff that we heard from Jez Corden, the Xbox, anywhere, this is an Xbox thing, it's apparently going to make more sense sooner than later. And if you get these folks to play on this digital box that was $200, you might get people into the ecosystem because now they can play that game or those games on that box, but they can play it on their phone and their tablet and potentially a new handheld. I just think that there's ways to go about marketing your stuff. And even though I think Indiana Jones is going to appeal, folks, you remember just last week, what did I say, Fuzzy? I said it even with King David. My concern for this game wasn't that it wasn't going to be good. I knew it was going to be good. I freaking played it. I knew what they had up their sleeve. My concern was, how will the under 30 crowd take on this Harrison Ford Indiana Jones game? Because even though Troy Baker is doing the voice, that is Harrison Ford that we're looking at. And he appeals to me, a lot of the OGs, and he had a gray beard, throw up the horns. I see you. I hear you. But what about the under 30 crowd? And apparently this game is so freaking good that it has appealed to pretty much everybody, which is crazy. But look, at the end of the day, I'm thrilled. There is one additional story that I do want to get into because, I know you said, you specifically said, Fuzzy, man, I hope they get to Wolfenstein because we want to shoot Nazis in the face and tear their bodies to pieces with double-barrel machine guns, right? We all want to do that.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, it has been brought to our attention. Now, let me just bring this up because I have you here. According to VGT Gaming News, now that's a good friend of this channel, great friend of the community. If you're not following them, you probably should be. They are pretty a big part of the. Again, I don't really run in the waters of Blue Sky. I just don't have the time. I'm trying, but on Twitter, VGT Gaming News. I mean, they have almost 68,000 followers, and they are following a handful of people. I am one of them. So shout out to VGT for the follow. They put out a story that was very interesting, and it's very, very relevant to what's going on at Machine Games. Well, according to VGT Gaming News, Machine Games is expanding its operations by opening a new satellite studio in Sweden. The studio is anticipated to be fully staffed by 2025. What is your favorite game from Machine Games? They're asking. Now, look, I think it's safe to assume, ladies and gentlemen, and Fuzzy Belvedere, that a sequel to this is already greenlit. Like, let's effing go. This game is a raging success. It's critically succeeded. We got to see about how many people buy the game, how many people subscribed. I would imagine that just based on the last couple of releases, you had Call of Duty, maybe Hellblade doesn't move the needle because it's an adult themed type of game. And maybe because it has, psychosis in it. People are going to be turned off by it potentially, but Call of Duty is going to get you subs. Indiana Jones, especially good word of mouth, and everyone's talking about it. I mean, it's an 87 meta, which is freaking awesome. Let's talk about this new studio, because I think what we're starting to see at Machine Games potentially here is that they're going to be working on multiple IPs, and a new Indiana Jones or a potential at least DLC outside of the one that's already scheduled might be a thing.
Yeah. I'm really hoping it's to get Wolfenstein 3 up and going a lot sooner, and I kind of feel that that's part of it. But like the fact that they knocked it out of the park with Indiana Jones, it does definitely begs the question: beyond the DLC, do we see a sequel, or do we see other iterations of other IPs from Disney in general? Which, if they might be the Insomniac in that regard for Xbox, so be it. But they did an awesome job, especially using the source material to the fullest with Indiana Jones. So if the DLC spins from that, and sequels spin for that, I'm all for it. But man, we've been asking for Wolfenstein 3 for a bit now. I know a lot of people are also asking Bethesda for Fallout 5, but this is the way you're going to have to do it. You have to build or expand those teams, so that way you can kind of do with what Playground Games is doing. They have a team that's specifically for Fable and a team that's specifically for the Forza Horizon series, which pretty sure they're probably starting to ramp up for Forza Horizon 6 as well, if they haven't already got that into early development phase and things. But yeah, it's, man, I'm glad to hear that they're doing that. The fact that Xbox has all of these studios in general, and then each one of those studios has multiple teams, and Machine Games being one now that's adding more to their team or adding an additional team, it's great to see. It's great to see them expand. I don't want to do the normal console warring stuff where it needs to be or organically grown. And that's how you organically grow, is expanding those teams, as opposed to worrying about did you build a brand new studio from scratch. It's like, well, it starts with expanding a team, making a team for additional IPs, like one team focused on Wolfenstein, one team focused on Indiana Jones or other licensed IPs. That's how it's done. And as much as people used to rag on Xbox or Microsoft in general for not knowing how to manage studios or teams, this flies in the face and says otherwise. So it's good to see.
Yeah, it is. It's good to hear that they are expanding. I think that it makes sense to expand. I mean, again, not trying to be overly ambitious or whatever your thoughts are on Indiana Jones. Some people think it's game of the year. Currently, it's kind of edging up to my game of the year, and I'm only halfway through the game. I heard that once you get towards the end, it's mind blowing. I like doing everything. I'm again 30 plus hours into it, and I'm only at the second biome. And I'm about to finish that to get to the jungle area, which I really want to see. And now that I know that I can go back, I'm going to push the envelope and kind of I don't want to just rush to beat the game. I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy the way I'm playing the game. But this is exciting. This is very exciting. And I think ultimately, and we're going to get into that in the topic too, because just look at what they've done this year in 2024. Look, if you don't want to count 2023, that's fine. I'm not going to fight you on it. I think 2023 was a fine year for Xbox. I mean, Starfield. Again, you're not gonna win me on the argument that game sucked. That game was a disappointment. It didn't let you down. It let you down. If you feel that way as a gamer, again, I'm not going to fight you on it. But that's not how I felt. I have again 5+ days, and I know that is low man totem pole to most people. But again, 5 shows a week, limited time to what I can do. I put 5 days into it. I beat it. I played through the DLC. I loved every second of it. I mean, what else can I say? But I thought 2023 was a very good year. Was it a great year? That depends. That's up to you personally. But 2024, you got Hellblade, best Unreal Engine 5 looking game to date. Honestly, it's pushed. They somehow were able to benchmark Unreal Engine 5 for that game. And that came out in May. You had a bunch of little releases. Obviously, Aura, even though that's PC, it's still an Xbox. It's still Xbox first party. You had a few other RTS things that came out. You got a Flight Sim. You got Call of Duty. Now you got Indiana Jones. Banger of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely banger of the year. And next year, if they release everything that's planned, I think that the thought and theory that many people had in this community that it's going to take a few successful years for people to turn to be Xbox fans again, I think we're starting to see that. That seems to be the pattern. 23, 24, 25. And look, I know that you don't like when I talk about Sony, but you have to. Look at what they did 2018, 2019, and 2020. Back to back years that sent them on a path that is listen, you may not like it, but they are the market leader still. And yes, they have had a tremendous amount of missteps. And their first party roadmap is nowhere to be found. Their first party games limited in scope and space, and the last couple they've had been flops, right? Financially, they've been flops. They've been flops, critically with reviews. Outside of Astrobot, they haven't had much, folks. And like I said, I'm an Astrobot fan. That's one of my top games of the year as well. But Xbox seems to be on the path, Fuzzy Belvedere. We're going to get into that in 1 second. Got to catch up on Super Chats, but also want to just drop the link, folks. We're into the holiday season. If you have seen this, I'm not going to run the commercial. I don't want to waste your time. Obviously, you've heard me talk about this before, and it is a really big deal for us because, when you build a brand, you don't know who's going to want to reach out to you. And the Volare Gaming Pillow has reached out to us. They did last year. I was extremely skeptical about a pillow for gaming. I'm like, nah, I'm not 12. I don't need a pillow for gaming. But I am 54, and the older I get, the more difficult it is to work with the hardware that's keeping me together. And again, I'm not going to show you on the screen, but I look like Wolverine just in my spine. I don't have claws, and I'm not going to live forever, unfortunately. But well, there you go. And with that point across, sometimes for me, sitting in this chair podcasting is difficult. And even more so when I'm sitting on the couch, because the couch is nice and comfortable. And what do we do? What do we all do, ladies and gentlemen? We hunch. We hunch over. And that's not so good for a surgically repaired back, which is what I have. So I'm going to drop the link in here for the Volare gaming pillow, but not just their gaming pillow, Double Barrel Gaming's pillow, which I still pinch myself, folks. I say this all the time, and I'm not being facetious or coy or overly sensitive. It's a big deal when you have a company say, hey, you've done such great work for us. Let's get your logo on our pillow. I know the Iron Lords have a branded pillow, but how many other people do? Not anybody that I'm running circles with. So I'm there with those guys, and you know something? That's pretty damn good company, because there's no one better, in my opinion, than the freaking four horsemen of gaming known as the Iron Lords. And look, I'm in their company, and that's a really big deal for us. So again, the link is there. I'm gonna the code for 15% off of your entire order is DBG15, and obviously that's short for Double Barrel Gaming 15. You put that in there, and boom, you're gonna save 15% off your pillow. And look, trust me, like I said, it works. Again, I don't have the pillow anymore. Unfortunately, that was forfeited to Tyler, because a part of the deal of him working with me on the commercial was, hey, Theo, I'll do it, but I kind of want that pillow for my room, so I have to go out and buy my own pillow because Tyler is rocking it right now as we speak. And, well, you know what? Why not? I do have my Iron Lord pillow, which is still very comfortable. But again, folks, I don't ask for much, but if you are interested and you want to save your back or you want to gift your significant other, go to Volare. The code again, I'm going to drop it one more time in here. It's posted on my Twitter account. So if you want to go there, you can just check it out. The commercial is there for you to take a look at. And the code once again is DBG15 to check out, and you'll save 15% off your total order. But let me catch up on Super Chats, and then we'll get into the final topic of the show. This is of course the bigger one, but we really, again, apologies for about 10 or 15 minutes of just technical difficulties. I don't usually have that. I don't understand what happened, but it is bad weather here today, and maybe they're just messing with the lines. But again, thank you so much for nearly 500 people hanging out. We do greatly appreciate you checking out the show. Our very generous brother, all the way from Hawaii. So aloha to Nino Vestek. Thank you so much for being here. He has gifted, as he's done before, 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. That is very kind of you, folks. Please, if you did get that membership from Nino, just thank him in the chat. It'd be greatly appreciated. Will Broke Boy Lewis, generous friend of the program, drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Xbox has been on a mission to market PC Game Pass. Yeah, they've been doing the gaming gods work on PC, because I think that they really are. They know that they're in a battle with Steam, and I think that I by the year's end, I think we're going to see some really big numbers on PC, and probably for a lot of reasons. First of all, there's no multiplayer fee, right? Game Pass on PC is considerably cheaper. I think it's like $11 a month, Fuzzy, or something like that, and versus the 20. Now, granted, I don't pay 20 and you don't pay 20, Fuzzy. I'm sure a lot of people in this chat don't pay 20 because there's something called cdkeys.com that, we win, right? But the average person doesn't go hunting and they'll pay the $20. And even at that is not bad, to be honest with you. Compared to, again, if you're comparing to what you're getting, you can't argue the deal. But thank you for the generosity, Will, as always. Highlander 001 has been a channel member for a whopping 28 months. So, Highlander, salute to you, kind sir. Hopefully you're having a great holiday season with the fam. He says, saw the surgeon and he lifted some of the restrictions. That's good, man. Xbox is putting more games on PlayStation than PlayStation themselves. They should thank Phil. Yeah, you know what? That's a phenomenal point. I don't think anyone talks about that. I actually did a video on it. It was one of our podcasts that we cut down, and it didn't do very well. I think I got like 300 views, maybe because it was, a bit tenacious, but it did say that in 2025, the biggest games coming to PlayStation are Xbox games. Like, yes, Ghost of Yotai, folks, I'm not going to front. If that has a statue, a collector's edition, I'm buying it, because I have the Jin mask that was part of the collector's edition for the first one, and it's dope. It's right here in my trophy case. I absolutely loved it. I've platinumed that game. I am going to play and enjoy Ghost of Yotai. I don't care who the lead character is. But after that, outside of MLB The Show, folks, I really think that is it for Sony. The biggest games coming to their platform is going to be Indiana Jones. That's going to be a banger of a game on PlayStation. You got Doom Eternal, and again, I don't know if Forza goes next year. It's only a matter of time, folks. Could you imagine if Forza goes next year and their biggest games for their box in 2025 is not their own first party? That's a little bit embarrassing, I think. I think we're gonna have to revisit that conversation, should that be the case in 2025, but only time will tell. Rain G4, hey brother, nice to see you, and of course, thank you so much for the very generous $5 super chat. He says, I heard Indiana Jones looks so good, it should be OF, and you know what? I saw the comment. Oh, you said that. I know what OF means. I know I'm an old man, Will Broke Boy Lewis. I understand. That's some of the things I understand. Some of the things I won't tell you that I go and look up, and then I pretend I do. So there you go. Thank you so much for that, brother. Sir X-Man, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 super chat. He says, put on headphones when you play Indiana or Indy. It's perfect. Yeah, I said that in the Ask Us Anything. I'm using the Starfield ones, which are right here, and honestly, it's a different experience. It is because I have the sound bar by Samsung, and they have a program in the TV called Q Symphony. So I'm getting the back speakers, I'm getting the surround sound, and I'm getting the front speakers through that. So it sounds phenomenal. It really does. But when you put on headphones, very much like Hellblade, it changes the game. And I've been playing with the headphones on, and it's, please, like Sir X-Men said, give it a shot. You will thank us. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, wait, your pillow was sold out on Volare? What? Oh, my God. No, well, hold on a second now. Now, Let me give you some TLDR on that. When they came to me with the designs, they had 5 of them. Some of them were good. Mrs. Boom, the minute Mrs. Boom, because she's an artist and she's seen it, she's like, that's the one, the raining of the shotgun shells. So they were like, well, how many do you think we should make? Are you going to sell them? And I'm like, I think so. So they went with 50. If they made 50 and 50 freaking sold out, I mean, the Pillow's only been live for a week and a half. I can't thank you enough. What I will do, folks, I'm going to reach out to Valari today. I have not heard from them. I'll reach out. They're in Dubai. And I think right now it's super, super late for them. I'll reach out to them, folks. Once I get the confirmation that they're going to make more, we'll update. I'll update everybody. But thank you so much, man. That's crazy that it's sold out. What? Because I know they made 50, but that's really cool. Thank you so much, community. Will Broke Boy Lewis has gifted 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. That is very kind of you, Will, for also gifting that, folks. If you got the sub from him, please thank him. And JJ saying 117, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, Marvel Rivals is another great game to play. Bro, they're going to get my money. I'm not going to be a whale, but I'm going to try Venom. I heard Venom is amazing. And of course, I have to play as Cap at some point. So, dude, again, free to play. These are black hole games, and I can't be in too many of them, man, because they're going to get my money. And I'm gonna be lost in space. And that was a dope ass show back in the days. You're old like me, Fuzz. Lost in Space. Not the new Netflix joint. We're talking about Will Robinson with the robot that flopped his arms like this. People will know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Black and whites. So listen, Fuzzy, I want to get into the second part of the conversation because that is the overall Xbox Game Studio excitement that's happening right now. I mean, again, I sent you the show notes. I have the show notes in front of me. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there is a lot of excitement around Xbox Game Studios. And look, we talked about it a pinch, and we're not going to, spend another half hour on this topic because we've said some things. But Fuzzy, I do want to get not only your opinion, but I want to get the thoughts of the community because the community is what drives most YouTube channels. And I do want to do a couple of, call outs to people that put some really good quotes in there. And look, I think that we are on the cusp of seeing Xbox Game Studios potentially get another Publisher of the Year nod. And I guess you can call it Xbox, you can call it Microsoft, however you want to play it, because again, this Activision is separate, Bethesda is separate, Xbox Game Studios is separate. But I think they have done enough. Now, granted, I think the one company that gives them a run for their money, and I wouldn't even be mad if they won it because I want to see them win, is Sega. Sega has had a banger of a freaking year with Persona 3, the remake. They've had the Yakuza series that came out that's doing really well. Metaphor, I mean, what can I say? It was my game of the year until Indiana Jones. They have had a banger of a year. But when you look at Xbox, folks, and please, folks, get involved. Let me know what you think. Sega for the win or Xbox for the win? Because Xbox, they have Call of Duty, they got Hellblade, they got Flight Sim. Obviously, they helped out Stalker 2, which currently is an exclusive on the brand. Obviously, Indiana Jones. They had Aura come out. There was a couple of the other RTS ones that just slipping my mind. They've had quite a few of really, really good releases. And I know that we all want the every 3 months thing. I think we get that next year, Fuzzy. But I don't think there's any denying that a Publisher of the Year award might be coming the way of Xbox this year.
I say hands down, if they're going to include Activision and Bethesda under the same tent, absolutely. There's no question on that. Like as many bangers as Sega has had this year, I think when you start looking at what Bethesda did, what Activision did, and what Xbox Studios did as a whole, not just new titles, but also the support for existing titles, I think that solidifies their, publisher of the year. But some people are going to want to count Activision separate and Bethesda separate. Me personally, I think it falls under the same umbrella. The checks are still coming from Microsoft, even though they're kind of run independently, but they're still answering to Microsoft. So it should fall under the same umbrella as far as I'm concerned. But hands down, even when you look at them individually, like Call of Duty had one of its biggest years, and then you had like the update for Diablo 4 with the Vessel of Hatred. And that's a big expansion. Maybe it's not like an, was it Earn Tree or L Tree or whatever kind of thing. But it's still a big expansion that garnered a lot of the player base. It's got some stiff competition from PoE 2 now, but overall, I think on Activision side, those two right there did wonders for this year for Activision and Blizzard as a whole. Bethesda had its Starfield DLC this year with Shattered Space, as well as Indiana Jones, which we're all enjoying right now. They did a bang-up job, and they're still continuing to support Fallout 76 when I know a lot of people are like, oh, just cancel it, forget about it, leave it for dead. No, they've built on it, and they've actually delivered, like I think it was the pet expansion and more base building stuff that people have been asking for. And they've had some like cross transmedia type of stuff that they've added between both Fallout 4 with some of the outfits in like the mod store, and the same thing with 76 with, I think they had a couple of character storyline quests and things like that relate to the TV series. So Bethesda's been doing a bang up job this year as well. And then you have with the RTSs, what is it? Aura, as well as I think it was I can't remember the name of it, but Age of
Empires.
Yeah,
2?
they've had those two released. They've had Flight Sim 2024 release, which if you didn't think they could go any better on graphics with the original Flight Sim, they definitely stepped it up a good bit with 2024. Hellblade definitely entered in the year with a little bit later than I guess people were hoping for, but all in all, I enjoyed every minute of it, and I enjoyed the combat of it even more so. And then it's this year, I think, for Xbox as a whole, like as much as people want to worry about, okay, they're putting games on other platforms and such, which, all right, I get it. They're moving beyond the console. They're not abandoning the console. They're moving beyond, so that way they don't have to just monetize on us. They can find, customers on PC. They can find customers on mobile. They can find customers that might be using a browser or using it through their TV or through their Oculus, or not Oculus Rift, but like their MetaQuest 3 and stuff. So there's so many options that they have to reach gamers now that honestly, I think they deserve the Publisher of the Year for the amount of games, the quality of the games that they put out. Sega did do a bang up job this year. Who knows? Maybe sometime soon they might be part of the same family. But until then, I would say Microsoft as a whole gets it. But if people are destined to separate them, oh well, those are separate publishers, even though the check is coming from the same bank, kind of thing. I still give my vote to Microsoft this year, or Xbox as a whole, because that's their gaming division. Period.
Yeah. Well, Big Mad Mo in the chat says they're all Microsoft gaming, and again, I look, I understand that on paper, Activision is Activision, Bethesda is Bethesda. That's why we've seen such incredible marketing, because their marketing is much different. Like all of the PR conversations that I personally had from inception of Indiana Jones to the hands off, all the way through the collector's edition, that's been Bethesda. But that's Bethesda's PR, has nothing to do with Jeff and Xbox, who I deal with on I talk to Jeff on a regular basis. And Activision, I don't have any connections with them yet. I'm hoping that changes now, that one hand talks to the other, and I can get invited to stuff with Activision as well. Hopefully that's the case. But yeah, each one, even though they have their own publishing arm and they have their own PR people and their own marketing and stuff, it's still, the check, like you said, is being written by Microsoft. Microsoft is the owner and operator of these companies. And I think that, again, look, I'm not trying to steal any titles from anybody. I think that ultimately Sega, who I want to see win so badly, as an OG Sega guy, like I'm going way back in the days. I supported Sega, and it's been my favorite brand. Like Dreamcast to me, folks, is the GOAT of gaming. I think that it is probably the best console ever released, and what runs parallel to it, I mean, neck and neck, would be the 360. I think that the 360 is just an amazing platform. But for me, which I have multiple Dreamcasts, I have over 100 games. Most of them are import. They're all at SNK. They're all Capcom. And I got some real rare ones in there too. And it's always my favorite console. But this would be a giant W for Sega, especially if next year they launch all of these remakes, these re-envisions of Streets of Rage and Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. It is going to be a Segathon 2025, and I'm here for it. But I really would love to see. I think it kind of be the comeback kid of gaming. Like everyone, no matter what Xbox does, you folks, listen. You see it. You see the people out there. No matter what Xbox does, Fuzzy Belvedere, it's not good enough. Again, shout out to Oh No, It's Alex, who did an amazing video, and I love Alex's stuff. He is funny. He is entertaining. Shout out to him. He just crossed 76,000 subscribers. That's a really big deal. And he just did a video about, well, some of the PlayStation haters still not giving credit to Xbox. And he does point it out. Like, and he names the names. We don't do that here. That's his shtick, not mine. But look, at the end of the day, as an Xbox fan, you got to be excited. Like you got to be in the chat right now, and you got to be talking about, wow. I mean, we and I gotta say we. I'm not that I work for Xbox, but we as consumers, we really won this year with Xbox. I mean, again, maybe not every game is for you, and some of the releases are not. Like I was gifted by Jeff Rubenstein an Xbox Flight Simulator. I installed it. I have yet to play it. They're like, yeah, we're not looking for a review. Just enjoy the game. Boom. And I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that at all. So that was, and they gave me the big edition, which is bonkers. I have just not enough time. But as consumers, you can't argue, Fuzzy Belvedere, that we won. And next year, and I just want to spend a few more minutes talking about 2025, because I don't think we're actually, like, we'll say it, but when you see it, like when I see someone like Jamie Moran, which, by the way, hopefully he's better and he'll be back with us tomorrow, does his posts, and he does a lot of posts on Twitter. And of course, the Arkham Asylum escapees, they come for him. I don't understand why, because he's talking positive, but they come for him. And they, folks like him detail, like a Clobriel, right? Like a Hazardor Gaming, puts out there, hey, this is what's coming in for Xbox in 2025. And you see that list, and you're like, for real? And there's stuff on there? Like, look, I really think, and again, I've said this before, I really believe an Exiles game is coming out next year. No one's going to tell me otherwise, because they have been talking about it since last year. And every other week, it's some sort of crazy skit that they're doing with, talking about, okay, so the marketing, let's get it started. And they're doing all kind of wacky Taco Tuesday things. Come on, man. The game has got to be close, right? Listen, let's talk about 2025. Listen, 2024 is almost behind us. We have another 20-something days before the end of the year. 2025 is going to open up. I feel that the Game Awards is going to close out Xbox in the biggest way. And again, this. Did you see what Jez Corden said? We're going to talk about it tomorrow. We're going to get more specific, but he literally said in the tweet, Jeff Keighley cooked. That was his exact words. And you know who followed up the tweet? Paris Lilly. Everybody knows who Paris is. And all he did was what was his name? Triple H going like this. Because So listen, Paris knows his stuff, right? So I think the Game Awards is going to levy some big Xbox news. And again, folks, if I'm wrong about that handheld Friday morning with Fuzzy Belvedere and the rest of the crew, I'm going to come out and say, folks, I was wrong. There was no handheld, but I still think I'm right. I don't care what anybody says. Fuzzy, let's talk about 2025.
Man, all right. So we're going to start the year off with Avowed. That's already a drawn conclusion. And I think there might be another surprise mixed in there. I don't know if Replace winds up being early 2025 or not, but Replace was one of those indie titles that kind of wowed a lot of people. And we've been patiently waiting for it. And they want to make sure this game is quality and polished by the time it's released. So that's going to be in the Game Pass service and like an Xbox exclusive, early into next year, I believe. We know Fable, and I've been thinking Fable's been a 2025 title, with Forza Horizon 6 being 26, but that's a whole nother story. But 2025, I think, is Fable's time to shine. And each of the trailers we've seen has wowed us as far as how detailed they've been in racing games to now take that into an RPG. I think that's going to be a pleasant surprise as well. We're going to start off with 2 RPGs in the year. I don't know exactly where Fable falls. Originally, I thought it may fall during fall, but I think we're going to see some more surprises during the Xbox showcase this next June that will kind of tell us or fill us in on what the remainder of 2025 is going to be like. But we got South of Midnight, which has been showing fantastic. Love the traversal, love the background and the story and the environment that they're bringing us with that. And the fact that they actually went on location in some cases for some of the atmosphere and some of the lore for what they're working on. So I'm anxiously looking forward to that. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, Doom Dark Ages, which, yes, multi-plat, but it's going to be in Game Pass. And it's another one from Bethesda. As far as with Bethesda has been pretty consistent year after year delivering stuff. So it's, and some of it, yes, I know they delivered on the other platform, whatever. It's still games that they are delivering. And that goes to show how valuable that purchase was for Xbox as a whole, bringing them into the family. So we got, Doom, we got Avowed, we got South of Midnight, and Fable. Those I would say are the guarantees. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I agree with you, Boom. I think Clockwork Revolution is one of those titles. Now, where does it fall? I don't even know. I have a feeling that might be the one to end the year. Kind of like where Indiana Jones is now. I think Clockwork winds up being that. You gotta love a steampunk time traveling game where your decisions actually matter and affect the world that you're going to be envisioning. So if you do something stupid in the past and you come back and robots are out to kill you, yeah, you're going to have to go back and fix what you did, type of thing. I can't wait to give that one a try. So Clockwork Revolution being in there, I can't wait. I don't know what else we're going to get, but there's so many other games. We haven't heard from Contraband in a while, but I know that can't be that far off. That's one of those games where, yes, they showed us the CGI concept art thing. I think we get Contraband before we get State of Decay 3. I'm looking forward to State of Decay 3. State of Decay 2 was my biggest played game for 2024 with 240 plus hours in there.
Wow, really?
But, I put it on hold when I got it at launch because of a little bit of bugs. Right. And then so many games came in between that. And then I was like, oh, they're wrapping up support. Let me fall back into it. And I'm still drawn to that game because if you love The Walking Dead and you want to create your own Walking Dead simulator, that is the best game to do it. You create your own village, you recruit people, you can level them up with different skills and abilities and basically live out your Walking Dead dream in a video game. That is the best zombie type of game for me as of yet. I love Dead Island 2 and I love Dying Light 1 more so than 2, but yeah, something about State of Decay. And I think that's a 2026. So whenever the next generation console is potentially popping its head up, I think that's one of the launch titles. It'll be a cross-platform because we'll still get to play it on our series consoles if we don't get the next gen right away. But that's soon, but not 2025. But man, I think 2025 we stand to see 7 first-party games We know of at least 4 without a shadow of a doubt guarantee. And I have to believe that there's probably another 3 that they're either saving or mixing in there, or maybe they mix in Kojima's game OD into 2025. Because as much as people tell me, oh, Death Stranding 2 is going to be his next release, remember that game OD was worked on back when Stadia was even just a twinkle in Google's eye kind of thing. So it's been in development for a bit. It's probably had some highs and lows as far as the development because of the whole thing with Stadia. But once it's been in Xbox's hands, and the fact that he's probably going to do episodic with different directors and stuff, I'm hoping that makes an appearance in 2025, because that would be a nice way to have like a horror genre tied to Xbox with the legacy of Kojima attached to it. I think that'll be a awesome way to kind of either finish off 2025 or, load that up, towards the end, like maybe around Halloween time. Not that it needs to be, but I think that would be an awesome way to kind of celebrate that time of year type of thing. But man, I'm curious to see what we see at the Game Awards, because I know that they got something cooking, whether it's a device, whether it's something upgrading on the play anywhere aspects of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's coming as well. Fingers crossed for console games being able to be played off console. I know people are probably like, why would you want to do that? But like, if you have one of those handhelds, like if the handheld isn't right away and you have a Steam Deck or ROG Ally, that would be the way to get access to games that you've already purchased and own without having to repurchase them through Steam and other places. So fingers crossed on that. But man, 2025, like 2023 was a good year for me. And hands down, I agree with you. Starfield was that game of the year for me. It was my most played game in 2023. I had 5 playthroughs.
Wow.
I had like 14 days or something ridiculous with it. I still play that game. I don't play it as much right now because of Indiana Jones and Stalker 2, but 2024, I mean, great year. A little bit of a lull in the beginning of the year, but there were other games because I had Dragon's Dogma for the beginning of the year, so it was perfectly spaced out for me.
Mm-hmm.
But they've finished really, really strong, and they're going to start really, really strong with Avowed next year. So, man, I can't wait. I've already joked with people. We need to, call our politicians, not to turn this political, but call our politicians. Forget about this whole daylight savings business. No, we need to add 2 more hours to everybody's day, so that way you have 2 more hours to game.
I like it. Silly, I like what you're putting down there, fella. I actually do. Shout out to Mr. Kima in the chat, and I just double checked what you said regarding Special Nick talking about South of Midnight potentially coming in March. I believe Ecstasies has put out something was very similar, where he said that South of Midnight is going to be releasing in March of 2025 with a confirmed release date at the Game Awards. So we'll see if that in fact happens. Again, Jez Corden might have been just talking as a blanket statement, like, oh man, Jeff cooked with all the trailers and stuff. I think he was talking about Xbox, and I have heard for a couple of weeks now that Xbox is showing up in a big way. I didn't hear anything about the handheld. That to me is just a wish. But again, it could possibly happen. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to come out Friday morning and be like, yeah, I got it wrong. But I still think we're going to see it. I think that week after the reception of what Xbox did in last year's Game Awards, where they literally took over the Game Awards, I think they're going to do it again this year. And I think that they are the one platform. I know Nintendo has the Switch 2. I know they have a bunch of amazing games. They're going to release with at least 3 or 4 first-party bangers for that thing. There's no doubt about it. One of which is probably going to be a new Mario game. What it's going to be, I don't know, but I guarantee you it's going to be a Mario game. And Sony's going to be what Sony's going to do next year. They have 1 or 2 releases. Death Stranding 2, which is no longer an exclusive. It's a timed exclusive. Ghost of Yote, which I think is going to be a banger, and MLB The Show multiplat. That's all they got for themselves next year, unless they surprise us, and I don't think they're going to surprise anything. Unless Fair Game shows up, and if Fair Game shows up next year, it's going to be a Concord situation all over again. I'm sorry, it just is. Yeah. but I think Xbox should be in the running for Publisher of the Year. They've really put out a lot of amazing games, even though they're on multiple publishers. They're all under the Microsoft umbrella, so I think they should win on that. And 2025 for us as gamers, as consumers, man, we're going to win for sure. But that is going to do it for us here today. Again, folks, apologies for the pillow being sold out. Will, thanks so much for the heads up. I literally just went to the site and I'm like, oh, it's sold out. Look at that. That's bonkers. There was 50 of those things made. How they sold 50 of them, I don't have any idea. That's just crazy talk. So I'm going to see if I can reach out to the owners of Valari, which I have a direct line to them. I got to give them a ring in Dubai and see if we can get another 50 made. When that happens, because that's probably what they're going to do, I will let everyone know that it's ready for pre-order. But a big thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for that. That's just crazy. Like, I could never have guessed. I said to Mrs. Boom, yeah, we're going to sell about maybe 10 of them, and they're just going to be sitting there. That's not the case. I'm flabbergasted, ladies and gentlemen. I really am. Let me just make sure we are caught up to date on super chats. We know we are not. We actually have a few more. House Flan, hey brother, welcome back as always. He has been a channel member for nearly 2 years. Thank you so much for the generosity, House Flan. He says, I laughed so hard at the confession scene in Indiana Jones. No spoilers. I know exactly what you're talking about. I knew about it, and it's hilarious. It honestly is. Look, I don't necessarily think that you need to be a graybeard to appreciate the humor, but there were a couple of times where I literally was sitting here because you have the headphones on, you don't hear. I laughed out loud. And Mrs. Boom comes down and said, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to get laugh so loud." There are a couple of jokes in here that are just, it's so Indiana Jones. Oh my God, that game is just so good. Thank you so much for the support, House Blonde. And yes, that is a great scene. East Coast Dan, my brother, I'm going to give you a call in a moment. That's a good friend of ours. I've been supporting the channel for quite some time. He says, brother, best in the business. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that. Torino Johnson. Hey, Torino, welcome back. Nice to see you as always. And thank you very much for the very generous $2 super chat. So listen, folks, again, apologies for the technical situation we had for the first 10 minutes of the show. It bothers me. Trust me. I know it's me. Yeah, no big deal. Boom. It's a big deal for me. I get this stuff set up. I write these shows, and when it doesn't go right, it annoys the shit out of me. But thankfully, well, we have a big topic that a couple of topics we got into. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell the brand, but not just your brand, which is the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. We got to sell the Mrs. brand as well. She has released her own podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Friday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. And, of course, it is a horror podcast. And even though we're not in Halloween, you can still have horror at Christmas. Just look at the last, what the hell was that clown's name? The Terrifier. Yeah. So he just massacred. Yeah, there you go. He massacred the hell out of everybody dressed as Santa Claus. So you can have terror in Christmas. Sell the brand of just not you, but her. And of course, where can they follow you both on social media? But both, I'll also subscribe to both of your YouTube channels.
Oh, as always, thank you so much for having me on. It was awesome talking about just the games that we've been playing and what we got to look forward to, not just now, but going into next year, and, what surprises Xbox might have for us at the Game Awards. Man, I can't wait. But for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on pretty much every social media app except Facebook. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. You'll be able to find me. And if you're into horror games or horror movies, definitely follow my wife, Ferocious Fee 78, on pretty much just Twitter and Blue Sky for now. Working on getting her an Instagram as well, so you can see some of the events and things that we go to, some of the posters and celebrities that we get to hang out with. Just if you're into those, into movies, zombie movies, monster movies, slashers, all of that, definitely give her a follow and check out our podcast on Fridays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. Do a search for that on YouTube. We're going to be reviewing The Substance. Missed last Friday, but we will definitely discuss The Substance this Friday coming up. a worthwhile movie. Demi Moore, definitely one of her, I wouldn't say one of her better movies, but it's an interesting movie nonetheless. And it goes from being, okay, this is good. This is, wait, what just happened? So no spoilers, but yeah, definitely check out our podcast, 6 p.m. Friday, Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. And you can also find me on a ton of other podcasts, be on FSP later on tonight, on Fun Speculations channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about the games coming out this week. And then hope to see everybody right back here Friday morning for Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Definitely hope to see you guys in the chat. And thank you so much for checking this out today. Thanks again.
Thank you. And of course, real quick, some channel updates. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. I might even do a mini topic for if we can get Jamie and we can get Umbra in their Game Awards predictions. The official predictions show is going to happen on Wednesday on Primetime Gaming. I'm looking to get a couple of guests on there. C Money and I will, of course, give our predictions on Thursday. Friday morning's the big one. And we're going to have a locked and loaded panel. It's going to be Fuzzy. It's going to be myself. It's going to be Korkenstein. And we also have the horror master himself. My God, who joins us on Fridays every other week, Fuzzy? Why can't I think of his name?
Silent Cypher.
God, Silent. I am sorry, brother. I've had a day. Today has been a day. So Silent Cypher is going to be returning. And obviously, he always seems to show up when it's potential slander talk. He's just that's kind of guy he is. But we're going to have a fully loaded panel it's going to be the Game Awards post show for Friday morning with Silent Cypher, Fuzzy Belvedere, Korkenstein, and myself. That's always a really fun show because, again, we're going to be reacting to everything that happened. And if it's going to be a big Xbox, reveal show, which it kind of seems like it might be, it's going to be a lot to talk about. So again, folks, we're going to be covering the Game Awards. I'm not covering it as a streamer. I'm just going to watch it because obviously we're going to be covering it Friday morning. So it doesn't make any sense to do like a double cast. I make room for everyone. I might jump on Mav's show. I know I usually do jump on his show for a little bit while he's reacting to it. So I like hanging out with those guys as well. But again, folks, thank you so much for checking out the show. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says, anyone know about the status of the Ubisoft/Tencent deal? The last I heard that the people on the board, not the Gaumont family, the people on the board want to sell, and somehow or another they're fighting with the Gaumont family to try and they want to keep control, and everyone on the board wants to sell their shares to Tencent. This is going to get ugly, folks. It's going to be like a hostile takeover kind of a thing, unfortunately. And Ubisoft, man, they had their chances, and they kind of blew them, man. They've been blowing them left, right, and center. Pause right there. But thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming with your views, with your likes, with your shares. Of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats and the channel member chats that continue to come in to support the channel behind the scene. And I, of course, going to close the show with something that's very important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.